about that tonight. Lion Pride, no matter where you are, help us to give a very, very warm welcome to my good sister, Sister Colleen Douglas and Dr. Walete Beresford. Mama Walete, royal greetings, family. Isis, royal greetings.
Greetings,
Greetings,
Miss
Miss
Crossy.
Isis, Isis, give thanks,
Aye.
give thanks. What a joy to
Yes, I.
see. What a joy to see. And I want the item just take a moment to admire the beauty. You know what I mean? Look at this, Mama
I'm
Africa.
sorry,
You know what I mean?
but that was funny.
No. I just want them to do that because listen to me before we start. I can't afford a Ferrari and I don't have a Bugatti. But the Almighty has blessed I with sisters who are beautiful and intelligent and have something to say. So I don't feel no lacking in my life. You understand? That is what I want to say. All right, now we can get to the topic. We are here today. We don't have to get into the time machine, all of that. We interviewed both of these sisters. Their reasonings are on the platform. Go and watch both very riveting reasonings, history. But tonight we're here about the 5-year anniversary of SOSACRU. First and foremost, what is SOSACRU? What does it stand for? What is it?
Well, Sister Wallet is looking on. So it's School of the Sacrament, Rastafari University.
Okay.
So that's what it's spelled out. But when you want your brand to get known, I think SOSACRU is a successful brand in terms of people just catching on to the SOSACRU, some with a context, some without.
Yes. Give thanks. Hold on 1 second. We have Ras Roots just drop a $10 upon we head top and say, "Welcome." You know what I mean? This is our lion pride. That's why I'm feel no way because the love is
Give
there.
thanks.
You know what I mean? Big up to all the lion pride out there. So why School of Sacrament? That sound heavy. You know what I mean? Why that sound?
And when Jelani Naya joins us, he will give you the heavy part. Sister Wallet and I are the kind of easier ones, right? Sis? But I could say, I mean, we Sister Wallet, you could talk about the sacrament and what the sacrament is to Rastafari, and then we could go into Rastafari University.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So the School of the Sacrament, and I know that Dr. Jelani Naya, aka Bongo I, a founding member of SOSACRU, and also, part of the leadership for Rastafari and cannabis at UWI for the Rastafari Studies Department. So I think the idea of School of the Sacrament really highlights the role of ganja herb, as the whole a sacrament versus, a careless habit.
Okay.
It really looks to highlight the sacredness within Rastafari, which really has not been done, outside of the ISIS.
Yes.
Looking at Rastafari through a heretical and sacred lens, and adding to that the academic sphere, the academic component, the archival component, and the spreading of Rastafari liberty to the youth, which is the what I would say the top program within SOSACRU, or the our feature component, our feature program is the youth component.
The youth. And Sister Wallet, since you touch youth, I think we could go into, so I think the sacrament was explained beautifully, because it's really taking into a kind of African-centered herbal usage generally, and as she says, the use of ganja as a sacred in a sacred space. So we honor that, but also the parts where we're archiving Rastafari information, we're engaging youth through training and education. All of that is what makes it into a university. And then it was a coming together. I think you might have spoken to both Ras Robbie and Ras Jalani on the platform before, Kwasi, and they would have shared that the vision was a kind of coming together of scholars from across the world, in Jamaica and the Caribbean, across the world, who focus on Rastafari studies. Sister Waleti, as you know, has her 2 books, going on 3.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so 3 books, would be consistently doing Rastafari research. We had Rases Jazanai Kush in the early period. We had Sister Shamara. So we have Sister Aisha out of St. Croix. We have Sister Imani in Jamaica. And then you had the Lions. There was Rasween at the start, as a one who really pulled us together, you know. Jalani Naya was mentioned, Brother Jake's Homiak, Robbie Shilliam, who you keep calling Shillingford. We have to go talk about that Shillingford part.
Yes.
So, and of course, Raseku, when I saw the books on screen, Raseku is an integral part of SOSACRU. And then we have a young scholar out of Vienna, Dominic, who sits on the board. But we extend beyond those of us who are on the board, because some of the sisters I would have mentioned are not on the board, but who were very integral in the initial phases of the school.
It's exciting because Rastafari is in all corners. Yes, we're grassroots. I mean, yes, we're up in the hills. Yes, we are in the marketplace. Yes, we're on the ground, but we're also in the highest realms of academia, you know. We are also in the courthouse. We're also in the medical facility. We're also in the engineering firm, you know. So very exciting to see the scholars come together. And, you know, I'm a product of a HBCU, which was a defining moment in my life. So I can only imagine what a physical Rastafari campus could be. And Sister Colleen, I met the eye at a creative arts school, as so the eye. I want to hear your vision in terms of what do you think a physical SOSACRU campus could look like. We're gonna get to the event and all of those things, but I'm enjoying myself. I want to enjoy myself too, people. You know what I mean? So,
what I'm sure about is what we sisters might envision for a school may be completely different from the brethren.
That's why I want to hear it.
So you know, one of the things I think that's very important and has always been is what is it that we have on our curriculum for Black children and Rastafari children in general. I'm Caribbean educated at all levels, and we start out, if we were to go to literature, for instance, we start out with a foundation in a Shakespeare. We started out in a foundation with 19th century English classics. So my own vision is a vision where you see Black writers coming forward. Yes, we did some West Indian literature, but the notion of only books that are considered canonical, you know, the ones who are published by the big press. But a Rastafari school for me is a school that acknowledges the wisdom of our elders, that acknowledges the wisdom of the ones who learn over the years through practice and oral history, and that is shared with the students. A Rastafari school for me is a practical space, a space where food sovereignty is forefront, so people are farming. And you know what's interesting? In our CSEC here, Sister Waleti left Caribbean before she did all of that. But in our final school leaving exams in Jamaica, one subject in the Caribbean, not Jamaica, one subject carries two credits,
Yes.
double credits, and it's agriculture. If you
Okay.
do agricultural science, in at least when I was in high school, you get a double award.
Okay.
So a vision for me for a Rastafari school must have agriculture as part of the curriculum.
Critical.
And then, of course, his teachings of His Majesty, a kind of IDOR book club, must be a weekly thing where students are gathering. And not just what is special for me about that book club that I would always adapt is the fact that we don't just read. It doesn't just pass through you, but you're able to pull people's experiences, how
Yes.
someone in because or you know it is when you read. My own experience may make me interpret something completely different from you.
Yes.
I think that kind of a space where books are not just read, but books are being analyzed and critical vision come in from the tutors. I see Rastafari teachers as well
Yes. Yes.
in my own vision.
Hold on 1 second, 1 second,
Mhm.
because sometimes I feel like I get a vision from Zion, and then when me take a stop, is my brethren when me did see at Zion. The last time I see this brethren family was at the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute in roll up when
Yes.
we in a Zion in a heaven and earth, and I ask him, I say, is this heaven on earth? What did the eye say? What did the eye say?
Give thanks, my brother. Yes, I. Glimpses of Zion, moments in Zion. We give thanks for those moments, you know.
Can you turn your
Greetings,
phone like this?
beloved.
Can you turn your phone like this?
All right.
I am bingy. I am bingy.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
yeah, man. So we're just talking about. I asked Sister Colleen her vision, what a Rastafari physical campus would look like. She don't talk to me about the parties and the homecoming, and she get very serious and philosophical. But I know the people are wait for hear about that part there to the dub session and this and chalice. But we're getting there. But I want us to picture, because this university has to be funded by us. So this is not fun and games. This is not fantasy. This is something that is being built. So universities run off of endowments. They have $1 billion sit down somewhere, 500 million, and they use the interest to fund their activities. We have to do that, family. So, but continue, Sister Colleen. I just did want us bring in Dr. Naya.
Dr. Nair, who will take over the conversation. But I was talking about my vision, and I really gave the vision of what the type of books I'd like to see, because I love literature. So I'm speaking to that. We spoke about agriculture. And yes, I'm happy that you mentioned the play. A part of it for me too is just everyone being players of instrument, and not just instruments that you buy in a shop, but instruments that you're making. I think one of the traditions that we may lose if we don't continue generally is who makes drums. You don't really find a lot of people making
Yes,
drums
yes, true.
um, around. So not just having ones who play, but ones who make it and have a blend of that. And
Yes.
then Sister Wality can add her parts to it.
Yes.
Your
Give
vision,
thanks.
Olete,
I
please.
was going to say I'm going to Lion back or Lion Paw on Sister Colleen's sound. I actually took the students to Rastafari Indigenous Village in Montego
Okay,
Bay,
okay.
and they observed the making of the harps. And I also purchased harps. So, and then listened to the harps. So that was a full circle drumming vibration that they were exposed to. As I see Bongo I with the chalice, I
Yes.
were at Herbs for the Pure in Kingston, and the students got a full tutorial of the whole sacrament. um, so there's exploration of the steaming of the herb and the chalice
The science
and the
behind it. Yes.
science of the herbs and the tea and the different variations, the listing of the different types of the herb, even at the Nyabingi Tabernacle at Earthquake at Malvern, or also at Pit 4 at Bongo Joe in Mobay, the students are exposed to the Nyabingi Isis and the
Mm,
chanting. They're
mm.
sipping Ital the whole time. It is a full infusion of Rastafari. And the word I was looking for was signature.
Okay.
SOSACRU's signature program.
Signature. And we're
So,
gonna get
yes,
into that because we haven't really broken it down yet. We're jumping around family.
yes,
Tonight, if you're just joining us, we have SOSACRU School of the Sacrament, Rastafari University, and we have some of the board members here. They have a big event this coming Sunday,
yes,
massive, celebrating the 5 year
yes,
anniversary. So we're gonna be getting into their programming. But right now, we're just talking about what is the vision of a physical because we have to get the
yes,
people invested. Why should the people even care? I
yes,
went to Howard University, which is the Mecca, and I had probably the best undergraduate experience that anyone can have because I went to school and we had a portion to Rastafari brethren. We had a Rastafari student group, a campus organization, and we used to keep some massive events. The global reasoning, we flew in people from UK. We had Naya Bingi, what I mean, that rocked down the whole place, Washington, D.C., what I mean, man, a smoke in a Blackbird Center. We had to calm down the whole energy because people are getting unruly. So we lived through that, but we were on a HBCU campus. It wasn't I campus. Howard is a white man where he used to kill off the native indigenous people of the land. So it still, what I mean, even though it was such a great experience, it wasn't the pinnacle of what could be at the Rastafari University. Dr. Naya, as a man that went to the University of the West Indies, what is your vision that a physical Rastafari University would be, and how would it differ from what is, the university experience today?
Yes, give thanks, my brother. I want to greet your audience formally in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen Aswa, and to give thanks for this moment. I looked at the lineup this evening and I was glad to see the direction that you kind of frame as our conversation. Because in a way, the argument is that we've been operating for almost 100 years as a community at a very advanced pan-African liberation level. And we are the only ones on this mission. Now, this mission has been one that started in the streets. It started in the hillside. It was not within the walls of a university, but it was consequential to those institutions so much that they sent scholars to study, and those scholars realized that they really were now encountering a community that was itself a scholarly community that had taken time to understand their history in a systematic way and had studied that history, that politics, that reality enough to now find a system to reconstruct liberated African and human lives, and the genesis of what we are today, I would argue, has been a systematic deconstruction of slavery and independence. And that was coming from people like Leonard Howell and Robert Hines, Nathaniel Hibbert, Archibald Dunkley at the very start. Um, so, in a way, in my own study of Rastafari, our community starts really as a set of teachers of liberation, teachers of free and new direction, and using the inspiration and the emergence of His Majesty to anchor that in a prophetic way. Um, Rastafari, in not my vision, but in the vision of ones like Mortimer Planner, is a new faculty of interpretation. Now, the point is that we don't just exist as a community out of the fancy of wanting to be different. We exist in a genuinely historically evolved way, and a prophetic revelation that brings us to this moment. And we are the only people who bring this message to public attention.
Hmm.
This message is not just a Jamaican message. This is a universal message, because the founding fathers from Jamaica were drawing on international occurrences, international politics, international um, unfoldings at the highest level of decolonization, and reading the end of the British Empire and the symbolic rise of Africa. Africa is not just rising because the United Nations is telling us it's rising. That rise of Africa has been over the last 100 years, and we have been one of the major messengers of framing that rise into international significance, and also challenging the, the system as it exists: colonialism, white supremacy. Those are the things that His Majesty came forward denouncing, and more so establishing a political framework for each nation to be seen as an equal in an international framework, and to be able to draw on that international to restore order to a chaotic world. All of this, I think, is framed in what is in alignment with our own evolution, which is the age of Aquarius, which is it's one of those celestial, um, prophetic epochs where we move into a new vibration, and Rastafari is the embodiment of that vibration. Now, having said all of that,
Mhm.
that is not just a community of Jamaicans who feel a certain way about life. This has now been convincingly globalized as a world cosmology.
Mhm.
Not just in Jamaica, but every corner of the world, there are people holding the same irids that were constructed and developed and evolved in this way out of Jamaica. Now, what that gives you is not just a set of people who are parochial, but it gives you a global culture and system and community and family, a tradition, an
Yes.
order, a
Yes.
philosophy.
Yes.
And those things, importantly, we are the ones who will have to help to frame, and in many ways, the systems that the world now require are those systems that we have been pioneering from the
Yeah,
very start of things.
that's
You
right.
think about ecology,
Yes.
if you think about the non-GMO
Isaac.
development, if you think about one of our favorite politics, which is the legalization of cannabis,
Talk about it.
we are still the experts in that field, not just in terms of the cultivation, but in what they would describe as dispensing and medication. The doctors don't understand ganja in the way that Rastafari relate and understand ganja. And even the sense of microdosing and medication, and what people think of as bad habits, and how to sustain a ganja health life, a life that is balanced with drawing on the medicine and the therapy and the relaxation and all of those things and maintaining maximum efficiency. You know, people in the reggae industry, people like Bob Marley, we are told is one of the most committed and hard workers there was, who was also a big ganja user. So clearly it didn't take away his work ethic or his
Yes.
productive or quality or outcome.
Yes.
And we have to be able to draw on our professionals in the various sectors that they
All right. That is Wi-Fi, the guy. He's one of the characters on this network, and he likes to make a little. You know, I'm like for showcase at the
exist.
beginning. All right.
There, yeah. So I'm saying that there are a range of people who are
Mhm.
professionals across our communities that are operating at the highest levels,
Yes.
secondary and tertiary levels. And increasingly, we have to put the systems in place. And I give you a simple example.
Yeah. And
Of
then after that example, I want you to get to the question, you know, because you like pretty up the thing. But I want you to talk about what is the Rastafari
yeah,
University
man.
like.
So may I say all of that?
We have the same style though. So you
Yeah,
know.
I'm saying all of that to say that we have systems that are not centralized, that
Yes.
offer very advanced representations of
Mm-hmm.
what is important for livity and
Mm-hmm.
all of the politics and sustainabilities that people require. And our job, I think, increasingly going forward is
Yes.
to set connected institutions
There we
that
go.
Mm-hmm.
link people. So the university is first a network
Yes.
of
Yes.
That's right.
professional providers
Right. That's
who
it.
are able to demonstrate to our audience or clientele the best representation of Rastafari, livity, critique, understanding,
Mhm.
um, philosophy, and all of those things, documentation that there is. And we've had to start in that network way, which is what really a university is, because you want to draw on the best wherever that best is. And
Okay.
that's what people try to do genuinely and generally in a face-to-face way. We started online in a programmatic way
Okay.
by pulling together association of scholars that I've known for a long while and have existed in this network.
Let's
Um,
start there. Hold on, stick a pin because this was the I baby. You know what I mean? The I for those who are not familiar, was the head of the Rastafari Studies Unit at UWE. The Rastafari Studies Unit still there, or it's no longer?
not as a autonomous structure,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it
So,
still exists.
but
Yeah.
explain the genesis of the SOSACRU concept as you continue.
All right. Well, that was some of the preamble
Yes,
because Mortimer Planner, if we are to talk about the genesis,
yes,
is the Rastafari elder we know as Bob Marley's teacher and
yes,
mentor.
yes,
And he has this concept of a new faculty of interpretation, which is
yes,
Rastafari.
highly.
That concept he first talked about in his inaugural lecture at the university. And that became the inspiration for my own PhD, which I did on Plano and his thoughts.
Yes, and let the people know that you were the right hand for many years of Mortimer Planner. You studied at his feet for many years. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. In fact, I want to recognize Brother Jimmy Cliff, who we paid tribute to today, who I met many times at Plano's space. We operated on campus through Planner's house, a kind of genesis of this Rastafari University, where he would have been the resident fellow and people would have come and consulted him directly. And that brought various types of people, not just Rastafari elders, but journalists from across the world. People like Sinead O'Connor came and sang at Planner's footside while the Pope was dying. That was interestingly one of the high points of it. But Rita Marley, um, Warrior King, a host of others, Morgan Heritage, all of those people, even Sizzler and others would come.
A young the Chaz match went in there a couple times to
You understand?
carry me up there. Yeah, man.
So the idea is that Planner demonstrated that there was a certain need and capacity that organically could exist on a university campus that helped to strengthen, teach, provide various kinds of resources for Rastafari in its development and unfolding. And I would say, to that extent, the SOSACRU is really born out of the vision of Rastafari having that tertiary space and tertiary requirement. Um, After Plano, we introduced courses in Rastafari studies on the university campus, and students were very interested. And what that meant to us is that there is something in the curriculum that is absent that we were more than capable of providing. And to that extent, for years, almost 30 years, we started to take students to Nyabingi celebrations across the island. All of it was transformative for many of them. Some of them returned for years continuously after leaving the course. But essentially, and it was particularly attractive to non-Jamaicans, students from Eastern Caribbean, students from Europe. Most of them, I suppose, would summarize it as kind of rediscovering life in essence, and what was really the important qualities and focal points for them as young people studying at a university. Many of them have maintained various kinds of connections. Many of them have been completely transformed, evolving into Rastafari brethren and sistren actively engaged across the community. So in a way, the space to see Rastafari as the teacher, in a way that is not just incidental, that you encounter, by chance if you go into a herb camp, etc. And I'm not in any way dismissing that type of space, because I would argue that organically those spaces have existed as the genesis of the Rastafari University. Those are the spaces of production of reggae music,
Yes.
So those would be small music schools if they were differently organized in a different culture, where you would be understudying certain kind of masters like Chino Smith and, you know, Icula in some instances, or wherever the various pockets of young people coming in and learning not just about music, but about Rastafari in the same space. House of Dread would have been one of those
Yeah.
famous spaces. So what I'm really saying is that our generation has a responsibility to look at those spaces, such as the House of Dreads, and to strengthen that foundation, to make it function in the way that is the natural progression of our culture after 100 years,
Yes.
to be able to offer institutions. So you say, yeah, a man in town can go to House of Dread, he will learn about the Ital food culture. He will also learn about the homeopathic and holistic, because there are various craft and other herbalists and footballer and jockey and
Yes.
musician, and all of these things are part of that space and the dynamic that is there every day. But it's kind of, it doesn't offer a structure that certifies someone with
Exactly.
a skill after they've left.
Yes.
And what we're arguing is that those skills can be certified if we see them differently, and if we support them with certain other complements that ensure that
Critical.
people have, yeah, an understanding of who are some of their foundation patriarchs by name. What are those histories? How those histories relate to the different types of congregation or mansions that are now displayed today. How it is that Rastafari exists as a whole, but with idiosyncrasies or differences across the community, even within mansions themselves,
Yeah, man.
and how to responsibly move past what might seem as differences to be able to focus on the greater good,
Greater
which is
good.
what we exist to
Stick
seek
up,
to
stick a
manifest.
pin right there because Sister Colleen was in administration. I want to know, and I want you to explain to the people how is a university typically funded? Because I think as Black people, we like to talk about these things and we don't really overstand the mechanism of how these things work and how they actually pay staff. My two favorite words on this channel, please put them in the comments. I want the Lion Pride put my two favorite word in the comment section. Make we show our guests how serious we is over at the Lion Pride. But Colleen, please explain to the people how what Jelani is talking about is funded. How does a university pay their staff, make the research happen? What is the mechanism?
I think earlier on, was it on air or not, when Jelani said you were the consummate diplomat?
Yes.
Because Sister Walletti and I were comfortably in school listening to Ras Jelani.
Okay.
We were in school, and I think I must say that's really, I always call myself SOSACRU's first student. And a
Yes.
part of what is really great about the network is that we're always learning from each other.
Definitely.
Um,
You're all very brilliant. You're all
so
very.
so we were very comfortably in school just now, Rasnaya,
Yes, Bongo.
in as much as we might have heard some of it before. And I'm looking across because I'm also on YouTube watching ourselves and watching the chat. But to go to your question though, Kwasi, yes, I'm still at an institution, but
Yes.
for probably 12 years of my work life, I was in university administration. And I think we know universities are funded through multiple streams. It's not just one.
Yes.
In my case, and perhaps even in Yui's case, they're funded through government.
Yes.
So government can fund university. There are research grants and that you get to as funding as well. And I'm probably just speaking to a Caribbean perspective. And of course, there's the good old tuition and fees where we get a significant portion of the
Yes.
money from,
Yes.
because we don't really have endowments here in the Caribbean. So for the
Okay.
most part, it's through government. Some of us are fully funded by government, as in staff salaries and all the administrative bills, water, light. In some cases, facilities are funded through government funds, and then tuition does every other thing. So
Okay.
means therefore that access is an issue. And one of the things I think was mentioned earlier on is certifying ones who may not go through the traditional university channel. So I guess what the fees would look like in that context would be completely different. But
Okay.
yeah, and I mean, some of the fundings, I was head of a marketing department, which means that I was the professional beggar for the most part,
Okay.
always making sure that there was enough friendships developed for funding. And so one of the other ways we do is fundraising. And fundraising is not necessarily a live concert or any of those things, but also using up your network, identifying ones who are able to support a particular cause. It could be in the form of scholarships or grants for students, but it could also be that someone sponsors a building, someone donates equipment, or someone, that kind of thing. And then a lot of foundations support universities, alumni networks. I'm a graduate of the University of the West Indies. there are strong alumni networks that support the university.
Okay.
Those of you in the diaspora markets would experience some big events, galas, that support the university structures. So I think that's essentially how we're funded. How
Yes. Yes.
SOSACRU is funded is a full on other story that we could get to later on.
Definitely. But I wanna everything that we're doing. I wanna talk about the economic portion. Um, hold on. Ross Roots has my two favorite words on this platform: budget,
Budget and plan.
because I'm saying that as Rastafari, any works we're talking about right now, if we don't have those things in the conversation or the conversation, is not a serious reasoning, because nothing is sustainable without a budget, without staffing. We need to move from the volunteer mindset to a full-time mindset. We have to create the reality that we want to see, and it has to be funded. It has to be invested in by us. So,
So,
one of the things. Go ahead, doctor.
Raskwasi, you're very correct in where you're leading us into in this discussion. And I think those are some of the issues before us as we move to our fifth year.
Yes.
We started in 2020 out of what lockdown opportunities and webinars presented as a way of not just waiting to begin to do brick and mortar physical building structure, but to begin to build that network and that database and that student body and that staff body and that trust, that budget that can guide us into the vision, our ultimate vision for our physical capacity is a 10-year plan where we have indicated we should be present in certain jurisdictions, Jamaica, Africa, and United States, as linked spaces of our operation presently and going forward. So in a real sense, we've operated through Sister Colleen's genius in all of those ways that universities link alumni and networks and other kinds of resources, as well as the latitude of various members of the board. The one student program we have is one which is done jointly with different schools in the States, which funds itself for students to come and experience some of what you heard being discussed. We have a journal which is set to come out shortly. The idea is that the journal should self-finance, and it's set up in such a way, and you can look out for that. But those are the incremental things that are presently up and running that we've been able to pull together in the last 5 years. I think in terms of what we have contributed as a tertiary space, I direct people towards our website, where they can not just see the summer institutes or summer school program, with synopses of the different student reflections to get a sense as to, how that works. But they can also see a number of different kinds of webinars over the years, which kind of registered what our priorities have been over time. But you're right, we have not monetized and developed that structure to really have expansion in the ways that are necessary going forward. But that's the critical moment where we're negotiating now.
And I'm here to assist with the Lion Voice Network. We want to see the SOSACRU merch. The item supposed to have a commercial on the platform. The item supposed to have the collegiate jacket, them where the people them like, and the this and the that. So there's a lot of different ways that, you know, uh, Mama
And
Waleti.
and, and 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 just before Mama Willeti comes in, you're right, Ras Kwasi, in the sense that I mean, we as an organization, we collaborate with various existing platforms like Frontline and iDoor and
Yes,
others across the Caribbean. But we see your platform as linked to what our own overall mission is. For years, Rastafari has not really had this kind of regular conversation available.
yes,
And I know that all over the world, there is a thirst for networking and dialogue. And I think those are the kinds of institutions I'm saying. So when you think of university and you automatically think in the Western sense of that. And in a way, we are removing that structure and showing you operation. This is operationally what is existing, and help people to now deepen those networks in ways that are financially viable.
yes, yes. Give thanks. Myself and Dr. Waleti are here in America. I want you to explain the endowment system, what an endowment is for those who may not know what an endowment is,
Mm-hmm.
Waleti, and then also um, talk to us more about this student program, and the
Yes.
partnership with John Hopkins and the
Yes,
whole
I.
organization.
So the endowment. So even though I'm a trained librarian, I'm going to give the online definition in simple terms.
Yes,
So
please.
stated simply, an endowment, and give thanks for these few words. An endowment is a special fund whereby the gift amount or principal is invested and a portion of the income earned on the principal is spent as directed by the endowment agreement. So
Mm,
there's an agreement, money is given, a portion is spent towards a particular thing as defined by the giver of the endowment and
yes,
agreed to by the institution. And as the residual or the return on the money comes in, then that goes into a particular pot. So
yes,
schools in the US are kind of ranked and defined by their endowment. You might look at a Harvard University, the Ivy Leagues and the little Ivies, and some of the other really established institutions, and they are kind of ranked based on endowment.
yes,
When someone says, "Oh, I attended so and so," and the conversation could lead towards, what's their endowment,
yes.
because that is how they are rated.
And
That's how someone
and the Ivy
determines
League's endowments are in the billions.
in the billions,
With a,
billions and billions
I
of
think it's
dollars.
also important, sis, to mention the investment, the
yes,
percentage that the universities use versus what they invest, so
What
that
they
the
invest,
endowment can grow over
yes,
yes,
time. And then
over time.
I do
To
know that there are
continue to
some,
support, yes.
there are
And I
some
can give,
universities that get a restriction on the endowment,
yes.
while
yes,
some don't, but so,
yes. And
And
then the
these are important reasonings, families, because I want us to holistically look at higher education, not just the flowery part and the concept part, but the nuts and bolts of what it's going to take for us to make this happen on the highest level, higher than Ivy, because
and
Ivy can't tap with. Sorry, go ahead.
and the,
And
and the just much
Yes,
the idea of the cosmology
yes,
that has evolved and that is evolving and emerging that Bongo I reasoned on. Ras Wayne calls that the soft power of Rastafari, and I have talked about that, and
yes,
how Rastafari just by default of being Rastafari, are the leaders in the evolution and the development of this cosmology.
Mhm.
The School of the Sacrament, Rastafari University, is equivalent to a school without walls
Yes.
in essence. Bongo I said it so eloquently, speaking of the experiences that are non-traditional but are required
I.
for who I and I are now. It's required to exist in the world as the world is.
Yes.
And then giving them the small bits and pieces that makes them marketable and makes them, globally competitive. But giving the intricate pieces that are now required. Sister Colleen talked about the agronomy, and
Yes.
that gets 2 credits
Yes.
because you're talking about feeding people,
Yes.
right? So with Rastafari at the helm with SOSACRU, it develops the whole, what Babylon refers to as the whole child. You
Yes.
know, you're learning of the whole sacrament, which opens up your seventh heaven. You're learning how to farm and how to feed yourselves and how to feed a nation. So you're getting the aritical food, you're getting the physical sustenance for your temple. You're learning all of these things that traditional institutions don't teach, but all of the things that are now required to be able to navigate society as it is. So, the School of the Sacrament, funding is extremely important, and I know it is required, but I believe just the curricula alone,
Mhm.
as it is the engine that will feed the funding. And I saw
Agree.
it with the partnership with Johns Hopkins, where an actual course was developed around SOSA Crew with 15 strong on campus, and then culminating in Jamaica at the various partners, the various Rastafari sites, the School of Vision, the Rastafari Indigenous Village, Malvern, Nyabingi, even one time the Peacemakers in Clarendon, all of the Rastafari sacred sites, Pinnacle, all of these places the students have gone. So, in developing the whole child bunga, I said that even some of the students before SOSA Crew, the pre-SOSA Crew days, through the Rastafari studies at UWI, students year after year after year would return until they came to their own realization that they too are Rastafari. Yes, right. So yeah, it's a mighty work really taking place, and no one else is really doing it in this particular
Yes.
way.
Yes. If
If
you're
I may, Russ Kwasi,
one second, 1 second. If you're just joining us, we have here three brilliant minds. One side of your screen full of tough face, one side full of beauty. We're balanced today. Two lion and two lioness, and we're talking about higher education.
Mhm.
SOSACRU, School of the Sacrament, is here. Let us know where you're watching from. Put it in the comments. Chicken Roost, I see your comments. I love it. Keep it coming. We're gonna get to your comments shortly. If you have any questions, you want to add to the reasoning. This is a community space, so put your sounds in the comments. We're gonna reason around what you're talking about. I love it. This is high level, high frequency Rastafari. This is what I brought I to the movement. This is what I loved as a university student, going to the Naya Bingi House and learning a whole nother curriculum that I was not exposed to on campus. Hearing about geopolitics, hearing about biblical prophecy, hearing about repatriation, learning African history, vividly from my elders. This is what attracted I, and this is what we have here today. And we have a big event coming up Sunday. I want everyone to put on their calendar celebrating 5 years. This is the first 5 years. and the next 5 years is going to be even greater. And we're going to be calling on the Lion Pride to help to fund this initiative. My vision is that our 58,000 subscribers would put up $10 to our guests, which would come up to 500,000 plus dollars. We have that power as a community if we put our capital together. So don't feel like all of these things are far fetched. My vision may not manifest till I have 1 million subscribers. I know that, but I am confident that it's going to happen. We're going to get that 50,000 people to move in one accord, and we're going to start funding some of these projects, budget and staff. We can do it. It's all about the mindset. You know, these things are not far fetched, they're not far. If you ever see Colleen People them, aka the 7 Day Adventists, and what they've accomplished in terms of watch
Wow.
her watch her episode if you don't understand what I'm saying. She came out of a 7 Day Adventist home. But the 7 Day Adventists, I admire them. They have a university here in DC in Tacoma
DC.
Park. Top, you go on the campus, beautiful manicured
Yeah.
lawn. They have their vegetarian shops. Them have
Yes.
everything about 7 Day Adventists. So it can be done, and we can have not only the online but the physical. Is our mindset. You know what I mean? It's our mindset is when we are ready, and when we love it ourselves enough to invest, and we have the people here with the competence to carry out and execute the work. Is do we want to fund? But continue, Dr. Naya.
Yeah, I like the direction you move in terms of the trust, I understanding, and I we would do well with that 500,000 if your viewers were so inclined. It
We're gonna
would
make it
really
happen. We're gonna make it happen, Dr. Naya. We're building over here. You're watching the thing being built, We
it
are
would push
part.
us in that more tangible and active expansion that we want. But I want to also mention that there is a overlooked trust that is increasingly necessary, and that has to do with intellectual property
Yes.
as far as personal archives and collective archives are concerned. And the history of our community has seen that those have been fragile at best, and a lot of them have been destroyed. So that I think has been one of the primary leading missions that we have to, and we're talking about human archives and what could be external from human beings as collectibles that are important manifestation of our elders' is thinking and understanding. Those are things that are critical. So I'm saying that we are expanding ourselves as that space that can help our community at large to manage what are important, especially where they are related to leaders and activists who many of our, remember I said Rastafari is a set of teachers. Well, we are also Sister Mama Willette is in the right field because everyone has their own Pan African archive and book collection in various ways, along with images of His Majesty and Her Majesty and various high points. And these are a part of the original teaching tools that some of these elders would have had, and many of them would pass, and people would just destroy these things. I'm
Yes.
saying that these are of value in many ways, and other things. Someone like Jaloid passed away. Jaloid was an artist
Yes.
with a documentation sort of drive. We don't know what has become of Jaloid's archives.
True.
What's his name? Stafford Ashani, who is also another archivist, would have had significant Rastafari visual interviews of early reggae artists, etc. So there's, I'm sorry, there's a whole possibility of trust being intellectual trust as well, where persons um, recognize that these might be of value to the widest community and should be preserved in a certain way. We offer ourselves as a space to help to do that. And that's the work that we've started to do through the webinars, to pull some of those conversations, those individuals. Like, so we had something on Daniel Hartman, who many people of my generation and younger would not be that familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
but is a very important foundation,
Yeah, man.
Rastafari elder, who should be known. So if you Google now, you might be led to our YouTube, which provides some introduction and understanding of what his work represents. And, a range of others, Mortimer Plano, now deceased, Ras Franchi from
Antigua.
Antigua.
Yes.
Yeah, we had also done Racimo McLean, the book liberator from the United Kingdom, etc. So just to say that, even the archives that you generate become a part of those very important sources that must be constructed. So that institutional development that we're talking about, and we have to see ourselves in the way that Netflix is now buying Warner Brothers
Yes. Massive,
down the
massive.
line.
Mhm.
That these things exist as things that seem unconnected, but don't have to always remain in those ways as time passes. So yeah, you are one of our Sosa crew. As much as you remember, you've been a part of our
Yeah, man.
conversations from the very very start. So
On the
yeah,
start.
yeah.
If I had the time, I would be on the board, but I don't have the time. But I consider myself even right now. I want to make a switch into academia more because it's very important that I and I preserve. What I mean, this levity and elevate because even the research, our elders were telling people that herb was the healing of the nation before knowing that there was an endocannabinoid system in every human
Mhm.
being. They had no
Same.
knowledge of an endocannabinoid system. They were
No.
just saying is the healing. So can you imagine if we were actually actively researching the levity
Right.
and heighten up the levity and
Same.
doing studies and what I
That's
mean
right.
and
Well, you see, Rasquasi, in a way,
mhm.
those are some of the contradictions, because in many ways it is herb that puts us into the state of mind to go into this overstanding of what we are experiencing generally. And I'm
Yes,
not saying that herb is the only thing that can do that,
no,
but that is a demonstration of there's an author called Michael Pollan that I like to refer to, where he likes to present a plant's eye view of the world, where we think we are manipulating the herb when it is the herb that is manipulating our understanding.
True.
Right. So the basic point is that getting into the secret of life often is revealed just from getting into yourself and studying what is in front of you, and connecting what experience demonstrates. That's science. The scientist is given the capacity to measure differently and to pull up under microscope and test differently because of the way they have developed those technologies. But our people have their own ways of testing and reasoning out the results that appear. And often they're more precise because at the end of the day, you're still going to have to interpret your results.
of
And
course.
often the capacity to interpret is very much limited because they're only in the lab. You know, so when you have life as your lab, your scientist is operating at a completely different scale. And I see that every day with my top ganja scientist here, Bob on the job, you know.
That my brethren, Bob on the job. Bob on the job. Big up on yourself. Yes. Big up yourself.
When
And it's
we
just
spoke
almost
clearly,
20 years of it's just almost 20 years of hands-on
Yes.
and daily engagement and application with the people on the ground that
Yes.
put one and one together and you get, you know, what that adds up to, and then you do your subtraction and your addition and you continue working until you see the results that you want.
Uh,
And yeah, man, science.
tell Bob on the job him have to prepare for your interview. You don't go up on camera, Bob on the job. So you have to go come get an interview.
Kwasi,
Yes.
I know we were on endowments, and
Yes.
then when Rashtalani came in with intellectual property, I think one of the things that we can seriously consider is what I'd refer to as kind of ethical endowments. So
Yes.
when we talk about how, a lot of ones will say that Rasta flow and reggae is back. I think it's the other way. It's the wings. Reggae took wings from a lot of Rastafari teachings.
That's a
So
fact.
how one of my own vision is really seeing how endowment could come as a kind of ethical way. You do Rastafari music, you preach Rastafari through your music. So a percentage of your royalties could be donated to an institution like a SOSACRU
Yes.
or any Rastafari institution for that matter. But I
Should
think it is asking any Rastafari artist now, give me 1% of royalties as something that can sustain a school really shouldn't be hard. And so I think what that is perhaps one of the partnerships we have to consider seriously moving into the next 5.
definitely. And I'm being very intentional bringing this economics to the table because every Rastafari group that comes on this platform, we want to have these conversation because for too long as Rastafari, we've been, I mean, the theoretical, we have the reasoning lock. We're good on that. We need to execute
And
and we need to pay our
and
people and not feel like it's guilty. You're making money, Rastafari. I've had people come at me and say, why are you asking for money? You're doing this thing and them thing there. You know what I tell them that we have a vision to have a full scale operation and you cannot do that for free. So teaching of His Majesty is very clear. And a lot of people come and say they're Rastafari, but they are false concepts. His Majesty was about industry, he was about economic development, he was about building, and there's no fantasy in that. So I give thanks, and I think that artist thing is something that should be explored in partnership even with ARC too, because one of the things that we had said with ARC is we wanted to build a institution of learning, like a Edna Manley type of vibration. So I think there's a natural partnership there, even though I think Sosa's crew should be beyond just the arts. I want to see a ITAL engineering school, a ITAL architecture school, a ITAL nursing. You know what I mean? So it goes beyond when we talk about Rastafari higher education, but definitely the creative arts is something that
and you know, Russ, you hit the nail on the head, because a couple of days ago I was listening to a loudspeaker in a community I was,
yes,
where they were offering health checks,
yes,
and the incentive was come and get a full belly. That was the line, and also get your health screening.
okay,
And I was tempted to go up there to see what illnesses they were feeding the people that they were seeking to screen for help, because I don't think I would have to stretch my imagination that the food would be completely unhealthy.
Yes.
So you're on spot, that and that's really the point, that the institutions understand wellness as separate from their everyday. Wellness is something they do, but not necessarily live every day.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. A nursing institution that understands nursing from that Rastafari organic point of view,
I'm,
you
I'm
know.
gonna I'm gonna share a video. I shared a video in the IDOR study group about the hospital they have in Singapore. I don't know if you've seen this. Singapore has a hospital. The hospital look like a public park. You know what I mean? The way they structured the rooms, have every room you can see greenery. It's
Mm-hmm.
glass room. They have birds chirping. Nature. Them have wildlife in the hospital. People come to the hospital to bird watch and to look for different animals. The way they structure the hospital, when they wheel people out for them little afternoon, them wheeling them to a pond. There's fish there, and I mean the whole thing, the structure as a nature facility with and I'm saying this is something that Rastafari should be at the forefront of. I was born at the University of the West Indies Hospital, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking of a Rastafari campus with a state-of-the-art hospital with plantation in the hospital with sunlight, natural light thing, you know what I mean? People come and chanting, you can hear Naya Bingi, and I mean, so my mind just goes so far when we think
You
about.
know, Kwasi,
Yes, go ahead.
this reasoning is perhaps what we ought to include in our anniversary reasoning on Sunday,
Okay,
um, as we go towards the next five.
talk
Um,
about the anniversary. Talk
so
about the.
yes, because I'm looking at the time, and Russ's Walletti, that it is half hour to the mark, and we still haven't gotten to to our why we are here. But that's all good. I think perhaps one of the partnership you consider is the streaming when we're live
Yes,
occasionally to this platform. But
yes.
I don't know who wants to go there. Is it you, Jelani, or Tisawaleti for
Sunday, Sunday. Let's talk
Sunday?
about Sunday.
Sunday.
All right. So
What can the people expect?
I can give you an overview of Sunday,
Yes.
because the details have been refined by Sister Colleen and Mama Willeti.
Okay.
But 5 years ago, we started an association that evolved into the name that we now go by. All of that somewhat unintentionally came together and brought a network of scholars who, for the last 15 or 20 years, have been in touch. We opened a conversation about the rise of the lioness and the matriarchal turn. And since then, we've facilitated a range of conversations that we think are important, um, guiding and archiving documents that lay a foundation for Rastafari overstanding of some of its journey and history. Our fifth anniversary comes to us at a very significant time in Jamaica, and we want to seize the opportunity for serious and purposeful reflection moving into our next 5 years. We give thanks to have lasted 5 years. It has not all been smooth sailing, but we can, I think, I can speak for the full board. We can see the importance of what we're doing and also the future of what we all envision. So we invite our public, those people who participated over the last 5 years, to come and really share this annual general meeting, this Genesis anniversary of ours that we have observed consistently, and to help us to frame our task for the next 5 or more years to come as we look into the next year and beyond. So there are a number of different conversations, summarizing some of what I've just said in a visual and other sense. The usual board reflections from different contributors. We're also hoping to have a spotlight session, which I leave Mama Willetti and Sister Colleen to talk about a little more. And the usual interaction from the public as to, vision, direction, questions, etc. So we give thanks. That's my kind of summary overview.
It sounds exciting. It sounds
Yeah.
interesting and exciting. What do you want to add to that, Sister Colleen? Sunday.
I was going to go to Sister Walletti, who is a bit
Mama,
unusually quiet.
yes, Mama Lete. Talk to us.
Yes, on Sunday, ones and ones will learn a little bit more about the trajectory for SOSACRU. Bongo I has shared a lot, but SOSACRU is heavy, as it relates to partnering.
Yes,
One of their main partners, as the I know a lot, is IDOR, the Universal Development
yes,
of Rastafari. And I will talk a little bit about the trajectory for IDOR, which
yes,
SOSACRU is also trending in that direction and which they will support, which is the ipatriation mission, the
yes,
quest for land in Africa, building in Africa, and offering leasing spaces to those in the West that are looking forward to coming. IDOR is looking forward to the creation or loving their IDOR Welcome Center,
mm-hmm,
prayerfully within the Volta region,
mm-hmm.
and building a place where ones are inspired, for repatriation. They'll hear a little bit about that work. We'll talk a little bit about the Kweku Ando Sustainability Institute. And I may have Binky Sean, but if not, he's an I brethren and I verse.
He has confirmed he will be
He's
there.
confirmed that he's coming. So, yes, the eyes will hear about that pioneering work that took place under the banner of Habisha, helping Africa by establishing schools at home and abroad, and the Kasi Project, the Kweko Ando Sustainability
Heaven on
Institute.
earth, the
Heaven on
template.
Earth. Yes, in the Volta region, and the Prepatriation 24-month, 18-month program. So all of those things are to come, as well as some highlights from the last 5 years of SOSACRU, and kind of looking at SOSACRU through a 95 years post coronation lens, and what is evolving 5 years before the centenary of the coronation, 5 years before 100 years of Rastafari, the birth of SOSACRU, and the direction that they're trending in. So yeah, look forward to great things on Sunday. It's exciting times for Rastafari.
It is
Yes,
unprecedented.
unprecedented.
What are some of the highlights over the 5 years, Sister Colleen?
I think earlier on, Sister Walletti did mention our summer school program. My favorite memories of SOSACRU really are the webinars. I
Yes,
think the webinars we had during the lockdown period
yes,
really
powerful.
drew it. That for me was powerful. Um, Sister Walletti and I didn't know each other for a long time, but we were engaging online for a long time. And I just think it was the Jerusalem schoolroom um,
Yes, yes, yes,
that
just
we had consistently. And I think when I look back at some of the flyers, Bongo, I realize that we have we've facilitated some significant conversations conversation, as Kwasi would put it,
Yes.
over time. I know there are young people who've been impacted by some of the sessions, ones they didn't know about, whether it was Mortimer Plano, whether it was the artist we did last. I'm losing the name. But even the speakers were featuring some of the artists. I think when Rastafari Speaks comes out, it captures a lot of what we did in the initial year of webinars. So the highlight feature, of course, is the one we did on Nana Rita. And that's got a wholesome article and more. We've featured elders who transitioned um, over time. I know last year we looked at Mama Fire,
Mhm.
and just want we try our best to look at all the elders who would have transitioned in the year past that we're reviewing. But the summer school, what I like about school, or what I like about SOSACRU's school, is that it's not theoretical only. It is sometimes, especially when Bongo I starts to speak. It is. I love how it is. It's always living. It's a very living space. So when students come to Jamaica, for instance, for the summertime, it's them engaging with students in Jamaica. It's them engaging with the faculty. It's going into the Rastafari spaces and seeing them see it for the first time and living it in all its ways. Um, and I think perhaps even those who are meat eaters, for instance, when they come and for that period that they're with us, they have a fully Rastafari diet. And I know, I think last year, one of the sessions that was important was Ras Jalani started having a conversation with them about really what it means to be vegan. Why do you want to eat this way? What does that do to your body? And how do you make sure that you prepare for that? So those things for me have been really special. When you listen to the students talk about their experiences, it's really wonderful to see ourselves through their eyes sometimes, to see how they see Rastafari, how they experience Jamaica. The first year it was St. Lucia, but just listening to them sometimes and the testimonies they give is always a reminder that this really is a real school. It's a school where it's not just the education from books, but there is a kind of spiritual baptism almost. um, if I were to see myself as a student of Rastafari, then Sosakru is my first school.
I
And
want to,
yeah.
if I may, and it's really each one teach one at its best, because the if you ask me, one of my favorite encounters in the SOSACRU space would have been the Nana Rita webinar. But outside of a specific moment like that, um, being with students on these journeys for me is always a revelation in itself, you know, to watch them engage and just exchange with you, you know, and to see them in an a different space from the classroom, engaging with their purpose, you know. And I think that that's really what a university is about. It's we take it in a very one-dimensional what and I would call papacy, where it's just a paper that runs thing at one level. But the foundation of university, the paper, is the least important thing. Those have become imperatives of competition and commerce, and people needing to fly something in front of you as an achievement. But the real engagement was the stimulation achieved between faculty and student. It's not just one way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because everyone has something to teach. And if you are humble to learning, you're always learning. So the fact is that it's not pedantic in any way. And we have had beautiful students with various talents,
Mhm.
sharing these talents and us learning from them, even when the learning might have been mishaps.
Yes.
There've
Do,
been those,
do,
but
do, you, do you do you have Jamaican students that accompany the?
well, Kwasi, this is interesting that you raised that question because in a way, if we decided to market ourselves as a diasporic immersion for people of Caribbean and African descent specifically,
Mm-hmm.
it would kind of represent what has been self-selected.
Okay.
So we've had people like Louis Lindsay who taught me when I was university. His daughter selected the course
Okay.
as a Jamaican descended person who was born and raised in the United States. And we have people from Guyana, Haiti,
Okay.
Antigua. A
Okay.
few Jamaicans have come.
Okay.
We've had Africans as well. We've had Korean. A diverse set of people.
I
But
mean, Jamaicans that live in Jamaica, do you have any of them accompany? Because I think that would be a
Yes,
yeah, on the
yes.
ground,
yes.
there's usually at least 2 or 3 Jamaican
Nice,
students who
nice, nice.
are with them benefiting from the full immersion. Yeah.
And I wonder if we could provide a scholarship for a Rastafari youth to accomplish, from the Bingos or Bobo Hill or one of those. Is that
See,
something that could happen?
Oh,
certainly,
definitely.
and in a way, it has happened implicitly, but not explicitly.
Okay,
But it could be more explicit because the fact is that we usually have more than enough accommodation and transportation, and generally the gathering gathers from the community different kinds of providers who often have never seen this side of the community represented in this way. So
yes,
yeah.
I love that because,
Hey, Jasmine,
yes, go ahead.
Brady, I just wanted to add that the students I part from the Summer Institute speaking in Congo Iris's Ivar. Yes, they
That's
refer to I and I as the eyes. Yes, all of the Ivar, they I, everything. It is the most amazing thing to see medical students from Johns Hopkins University chatting Ivar.
I,
Yeah, I
no, I love it. I love it. I think if the item advertise it to, universities, you'd have people applying from all over to have that experience. It could really be a powerful international gathering.
I
I
think
don't know the
so.
logistics of that, but I think it's something, in the next 5 years, as the item go on, having other institutions be able to apply, and from Caribbean institutions as well. It would be so powerful, that gathering. Um, so in terms of the time on Sunday, what time um, the event, and how long is the event, and is there opportunity for people to contribute funds?
I think you've started asking for funds for us, so you need to collect it in this platform and share it. But I think we welcome both Sister Walletti and Ras Jalani would say we welcome any kind of pledged contribution.
Yes,
And just to highlight some of the opportunities where ones can not just give, but you get something. You go on a website that attracts scholars from across the world. You may be you can be featured in a webinar. You could also buy an ad in Rastafari Speaks the Journal. So there
Yeah.
are ways now in the short term that you could contribute. You
Beautiful.
could also sponsor a student for one of the summer institutes that we have. So there are opportunities, even if not formalized fully. To answer your question though about the time, we start at 2. The intention is not to extend beyond 2 hours, but the rest of Tingo, we might just be there. But
Yes.
it's
Yes.
really officially 2 to 4 that
Okay.
we invite ones to come in and share, um, for our 5th anniversary.
So definitely turn in, and I'm gonna keep on hammering the economic point, because so a lot of time we shy. I got over that shyness about 1 year into this. Me realized we have to, because our people are not trained. We will sit down and watch you for 20 years and don't offer you a dollar. Once we see say the thing still a run. You know what I mean? So we have to get out of that. Other communities are funding their higher education. That's why I brought up the whole endowment, because these are the alumni. When a person go Princeton and they create a multi-billion-dollar business, them glad to give 3 million, 4 million forward to their university. Princeton, I think, has the largest endowment and the most active
Let's see.
alumni out of all the Ivy Leagues. And if you see the size of their endowment, Mama will let you please look up the size of
Yes,
Princeton.
looking it up
And,
now.
and Ras Kwasi,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're hammering this point as we move into this anniversary, because I think I can say with certainty that we don't have on our website any instructions as to how to contribute
Yes.
to us. Am I wrong, Sister Colleen? Do we have a how to contribute on the
No,
website?
no, no, no. We don't. And I think one of our
The U.S.
forward
Cash App,
plans is
yeah.
really to
The
Yes.
U.S.
expand
Cash
the
App
website a
was
bit
right. Yes.
to
What
offer.
what is the
But
endowment?
we have a Cash App in the interim.
Yeah.
We
What
can
is it?
use the
What is the
Cash App.
endowment for Princeton, Mama Walete?
Princeton's endowment is 34.1 billion US dollars. It is
That's
the
the B.
largest. It's the world's largest. Princeton
Okay.
University
So
endowment, the world's largest. And they're also, the top Ivy.
yeah,
There's
Mama
someone saying
Mama
Harvard.
Marie said no Harvard, but I just wanted to fact check Mama Marie. Me know
All
me.
right, let's fact check. So we see Princeton at 34.1 as
Yes.
of 2024. But
Yeah.
I know in Babylon the tables turn quickly. So there's a 1 year window in there where Harvard could have taken the lead. So let's check.
Okay.
34.1 billion. Now
With a
let's look
B.
at
With a
Harvard
B. With a
with
B.
the B.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Woo!
What's Harvard?
56.6 billion.
All right, me have to take back my talk. Sister,
Take your talk back to just much
take back
Kwasi.
my
When
talk.
I take back my chat, take it back.
Me have to take it back, Sister Marie. You.
And a difference of 22 billion. That
but
is
you,
a huge difference.
but you see that the Lion Pride is the most
22.8
brilliant online
billion
community
more.
on the planet. So I don't feel no way because the Lion Pride. That's one of my Lion Pride on Patreon, by the way. So I don't feel no way to get fact checked by my
And
Lion.
just say,
6.9.
Go
I'm
ahead.
thinking of the each one teach one idea,
Yes.
and I don't think you should take lightly your growth of the Lions Voice Network
Yes.
to 58. I'm looking at the 58.3
Yes. Yes.
subscribers. That's huge in such a short time too.
Yes.
So exchanging ideas and sharing ideas, I think, and see how we can grow each other, especially because our audience is so heavily young people,
Yes.
and how they help us to grow too is another thing. Because Jelani, we do have a student who came 1 year, Brother John, I think. Who is it, John? Sister Wality, can you remember? He was like a priest. We've
Oh,
had
yeah, he's John.
students.
John
Yes, so every
from
year we will hear from him, and
Connecticut.
he will offer a contribution. So,
Bingy John. We called him
Bingy
Bingy
John.
John because he knew all of the Nyabingi chants.
Okay.
And he was of European descent. He was
Okay.
invited and he came and was at the Isis chanting every single chant. And I couldn't, like, where'd you learn all those chants? Yeah, every Nyabingi chant. You couldn't rise up no chant that he didn't know.
Okay.
The
Okay.
students, we named him Bingy John. Like, what? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, that's beautiful. And this platform is being built for my brethren and my sister. It's just not for I. It's being built for the I them and all of the other, because my reality coming to this movement was that I was always surrounded by workers, but I always see that the capital for the work, the workers are always struggling. They're giving and they're not gaining, but forward. And then what happens is that sometimes you see someone no longer on the battlefield, not because they've lost the passion, but because they had to take care of their personal, maybe they had children, maybe they had a parent that was not well, and they're not able to do both the community work and then make money to sustain themselves. So, we want in this new era, this Aquarius age, where we can now embody His Majesty, because what we're saying is not nothing that His Majesty didn't model. You know what I mean? And that's the key thing. This is not the Chasmach Kwasi philosophy that we're trying to push on I and I people. This is His Imperial Majesty example. One of the things that I love when I was reasoning with Martimo Plano, and why he and I had a very special connection, because we just talk about His Majesty for hours, and him love that about I, because we had come with the history, and him say, you know what, Bridget, I can say His Majesty was my friend, Him tell me that, you know what I mean? He said, me no say Aja, but him was my friend, you know what I mean? And him would tell me some stories, you know what I mean, about him and His Majesty. And that is the source for this movement. And I want to really establish with this platform that His Majesty is the head. And if a man is coming with a contrary reasoning, respectfully, you know what I mean, we agree to disagree. You know what I mean? You do your thing over there, so, and we'll check in 10 years to see your results, and we are going to follow His Majesty over here.
See, also, there are some comments in your chat. I noted one
Okay, I'm
person
going
is saying that they are interested in studying, considering postgraduate work. I'm just asking that person to send us their contact. I've dropped our email address in.
Do you see the name I'm going to pull up? Let me go through some of the comments here.
It's not a full name.
Okay. Let me go through the comments before we seal up. We're at the 2-hour mark, but we're gonna ask for a little overtime from the family. Let me bring up the comment. We have from Illinois checking in at 1296. Big up yourself. We have Marie, Nadine Pierre, one of my Lion Pride and Peach, and Ja Essence, Love, Adrian. We have
Chicken Roost.
Kwasi needs to interview. What's this?
Kumi.
Brother
Mortimer's son. Kumi's son.
Oh,
Jabani.
and Jabani. Bad Horse to get his perspective.
Yes, Kumi's son, Mortimer Plano's son.
Yes, it's possible. Okay. You want to read that comment there while I clean my glasses? Cause can't do it.
Oh.
We work with glass them.
I'm not. It's a continued conversation. I would move.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure where it started. So
yeah, Sister Nadine was giving some facts or some information, but yeah.
Okay. Is SOSACRU University partnering with UII or any universities, HBCUs? So you can answer that question.
John Hopkins University in Maryland, Empress, where
And
the
University of the West Indies here.
and UWI in Jamaica. Yes, the students actually stay on the UWI campus when they're in Jamaica for the Summer Institute, and the course begins here, or it began here at Johns Hopkins University in Maryland. So yes, there's partnerships.
Gift.
And then, and then the non-traditional institutions like the School of Vision and the Rastafari Indigenous Village, all the places that Bonga I speaks about as being schools and systems of learning, just non-traditional schools without walls. So yes, partnerships with established entities and also non-traditional entities.
Okay, and Jose, I would say that we are on social media. We are on Facebook as School of Sacrament Rastafari University. We're also on IG as SOSACRU EDU. And the website is also sosacruedu.com. But just to stay tuned for when the webinars are and when we're having any kind of event.
Yeah, and I'll put it in the description of this video. And we're gonna chop this up as well, the part about the event, and put it out before Sunday so it can be top of mind. Our producer has put the thing on the bottom of the screen.
I love our producer.
Mama Shireen, I love our producer. She's so beautiful. Greetings.
I love her more than the two of you combined.
I don't know. That's questionable. Greetings, Mama Shireen.
Yes, and my audience knows anytime them see whole heap of mistakes, them know Mama Shireen is not around. It's me. I try do my thing.
Yes, we know.
Yes. So anytime it's thing running smooth and perfect, say Mama Shireen is there.
Mama Shireen is so bright.
Yes. I want to employ Mama Shireen.
She's the lioness version of the Jazz
employer time, you know what I mean? So contribute to the platform, please.
Yes, so that he can pay her for all that hard work.
I'm telling you. But it's very important that the item supports SOSACRU and the work. This is everything that we're seeing now is in the Genesis phase. We're so blessed. Remember that Christianity was over 300 years before the Council of Nicaea came together with a common doctrine and the institutions. It was over 1,000 years before the first Christian universities. And universities sprung out of Islam and Christianity, although you had Timbuktu University, so let me refine that. But universities always sprung out of a spiritual foundation, historically, and the study, is always the clerics and the priests that were preserving the literature and the study. Even in Ethiopia, some of those monasteries could be considered, universities in a sense, So
that's calls them the mystery schools.
Yeah, the mystery schools, exactly. So this is a key part of our liberty, and it needs attention. And Sunday, we want at least 500 people on that event there. I think that is something. I know most people will watch this on replay. So we want the item to tune in, we'll be all right. We do have programming at the time, but you can watch us on the replay. I want the item to go live, support SOSACRU event, and make sure that we show that education is important to us. His Majesty was Minister of Education, and we as Rastafari, this is a key pillar in our liberty, So in terms of, we're going to wrap up shortly because I know that it's a work day and everybody at work in the morning, and I want these people to answer my calls when I call them, and they don't run from me because they say me keep them online too long. I'm very conscious of that, So As we seal, um, I want to I want to just read a couple more comments and then get some final sounds in terms of the event and what we're looking for the next 5 years. I want each of the items to really consider in terms of what does the next 5 years when we 2030 at the 100-year mark, where is SOSACRU? I want everyone to answer that question. And also, if I was to give the item $1 billion each, what does SOSACRU look like? You know what I mean? How is that billion invested in SOSACRU? Um, so before that, Chicken Roos, big up yourself. I love I see it's your first time coming. Welcome to the platform. They say, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but they say the pot plot, marijuana, hip hop, and the scientific assault on Black America by Wesley Muhammad, PhD. Okay. I know the nation has been very critical about Herb and what is being done. We have a different perspective, but there's definitely genetically modified herb, and we're against that. So we have to be very clear. When Rastafari talk about sacrament, we're talking about ital herb made from creator, not the fertilizer genetically manipulated 20,000 THC, no CBD, all them foolishness. We're not deal with that. We want natural herb. I agree 100% with Sister Colleen Douglas. Reggae rode on the wings of Rastafari in all ways: music, sound, performers, beliefs, and words. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, sir.
I don't think that can be contested. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was a Rastafari reggae artist that took reggae international and made it a phenomenon. And I always say on this platform, even we see with the reggae revival, when the reggae revival, Chronix, Proto, Jacob Barker, all of these artists came out and they were proclaiming the glory of His Imperial Majesty. It went global. The minute that stopped being the central kind of focus, it kind of just filtered down. You know what I mean? So His Majesty is the power behind reggae. I don't think there's any question on that. And the moment that the next generation of young Jamaican youths come together with His Majesty at the center, you're gonna see reggae rise again. There's been waves: Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Jacob Miller, one wave. Garnet Silk, Tony Rebel, next wave, Sizzler, Capleton, Anthony B. There's waves. That's what Jamaica does, but it's all centered around the glorification of Kadamawi Haile Selassie the First. You know what I mean? I would add Burning Spear to that first wave there too. Culture, you know what I mean, to that first wave. But all right, let me take it forward to my guests. The next 5 years, we'll start with Sister Colleen.
Oh, poor
What
me.
what does the next 5 years look like? And I'm going to wire 1 billion US into your account a morning time. And what does that look like for Sosa Crew? 2030 we don't know, And you wake up and Lion Voice Network call you and say, Sister Colleen, looking at your account, 1 billion would have be in your account. What does Sosa Crew look like? What's the moves? So two questions: the next 5 years and what you would do with $1 billion.
Wow. Well, we kind of got an assignment from Bongo I, Jalani Naya, in our last board meeting so I'm reading what I'm prepared to share with my board in our next board meeting. So I see SOSA Crew as a model for decolonize higher education after 10 years, guided by Rastafari ethics of justice, peace, and self-determination. That's what I have done. I see endowments aligned with Rastafari principles. I see cooperative enterprises, whether it's through farming, publishing, media, cultural tourism. I see a kind of sustainable governance and funding. Perhaps that's what I'd use some of that $1 billion for. And just have a reputation of as a global reference point for Rastafari studies generally. Um, we expand the exchanges with Africa, Caribbean, and even Latin America, I suppose, in some instance, in
Mm.
terms of our partnership. Documentation of oral histories and cultural practices. That's and most of this I think can just be built through a strong web framework, a strong website framework, and consistent webinars that engages others. Yeah, I think that's really how I see it. But the decolonization of higher education for me is very important. I really love the idea of elders being faculty, because some of the I think when I had the conversation with you, just me and you, one of the things I said to you was that my teachers, my early teachers, were Rastafari in my community,
Yes.
just men who were lonely otherwise, but were my elder brethren who I'd go to their share books with me and always giving information. So I think a space where we can honor those elders for them to be seen as faculty is, for me, one of the visions for SOSACRU.
Mightyful. And I was thinking as you were talking, maybe the first physical campus is on the continent, in terms of resource allocation. It might be that the first campus, because we need a physical campus, because one of the things I think is important is I remember being at Howard, it was like a vortex. It's its own world, you know what I mean? Even though we're in a larger city, DC, when you're on campus, it's like you're just in this whole kind of Pan-African ecosystem, So I could imagine what that would be like, with a Rastafari.
And starting small is not an issue. We have a
Oh,
summer institute with
exactly.
students coming in. I think if we have different times of the year of different ones coming in at different time to a campus that is not necessarily a traditional university campus, but a space that students are able to stay, learn, and
Yes,
explore Jamaica at the same time
love
is
that.
probably quite doable in the next 5 years if you send us
Yeah.
some money.
Yeah, and I love the idea of having a farm, like it being based around a farm, food to table, so the youths them are learning how to farm ital. The farm is feeding the youth them too, and they go on excursions and thing, but it's based around that farm space. I love that concept, that Mama Walete had shared. All right, so Mama Walete, I'm coming to
Okay.
5 years, 2030, what does Social Crew look like? You get a phone call from your brethren, the Chaz match. Lion Voice Network is bigger than Netflix. I was
Mhm.
listen me. Check your account, a morning.
Yes, I. Billion in there.
Billion in there.
Yes, I.
What's the
Well,
next move?
the next move is definitely, I like the idea of the brick and mortar building. Having the brick and mortar structure enables SOSA Crew to have scholars in residence at a
Yes,
physical location. So I am seeing scholars in residence as I ancients. We
yes,
have a Nana Faraika. We have
yes,
a Bonga Joe.
yes,
We have a, um, Ras Ivai. We have a Dijas Machkwasi, a Bonga I. Scholars in residence at SOSA Crew teaching through the various schools. So
yes,
there's a school of music, reggae music,
yes.
and you have a Ras Michael and the Sons of Igus
Highly,
coming to teach. You have scholars in residence at the school within the school for the 12 tribes of Israel. You
highly,
have one for the Ethiopian Orthodox one.
highly.
All of the sacredity if that's a word, or the
Yes.
sacredness of
You're carrying it
Rastafari.
tonight. You're carrying it tonight.
Sacredity.
Sacredity.
Yeah, because
Got
Rastafari
trademark it.
and I, we make up words all the time. Iriticality is hers and mine is movementation. So yes, the sacredity of Rastafari is being e- 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 expounded on in the schools, within the schools. All of the sacredness of Rastafari. There's 12 tribes. There's Nyabingi, there's Bobo Shanti. And then there's the sacrament, as in the namesake, the school of the sacrament. There's an entire wing dedicated to the high holy herb, you know, where ones go into their seventh heaven in a Jerusalem schoolroom setting, right? So that's what I'm thinking as I think of the School of the Sacrament in 20, and in that time.
Yeah.
And the money being spent, to farm ganja. To farm ganja, we're making clothing from the herb. We're using the herb as sacrament. I and I are using it for economics. It's the financial engine of the entity. The herb, we're sipping it with the hemp seed,
Mm.
everything. So I'm seeing it Rastafari in its infancy and Rastafari at its highest.
Yes.
This is what I'm thinking for the School of the Sacrament. And then the portion that Bonga I reasoned about, teaching all of that I mentioned, and then giving them the bits and pieces where I and I are then able to award certification or degrees. We've
Yes.
now been whatever governance is required to make I&I accredited to be able to give, because when ones pay money and they come and they give their time, they want something that is recognized globally.
Of
There
course.
is no Rastafari institution. So
Yeah.
this is the institution that either partners with other quasi-established institutions, or on its own is able to award degrees or certifications for the coursework being offered. Yes, give
Mightyful.
thanks.
Mightyful.
Aye.
Bongo Naya, turn your phone like this again, please. There you go.
Yeah, man. Give
Same
thanks.
question. Same question. 5 years, 2030. The vision. Where do you want to see SOSACRU? And you get the call. Lion Voice Network. 1 billion in your account. What's the next move?
Seeing. All right. So, the first 5 years would have seen us shaping a vision and building a base that you see here represented this evening. Next 5 years would consolidate those things in a way that are deliverables. Summer school, journal, and client base would have been expanding. The 5 year to 10 year now would, if you gave me $1 billion at that point, would help to realize a vision for institution, physical, in Africa, Ethiopia,
Mhm.
or perhaps somewhere else, depending on what those logistics offer us, where we could, like any institution, attract our professional scholars globally to a place where we can say, um, this is what we have constructed as a part of your interest in returning to Africa and being able to set a culture, a curriculum, a society, a community in a
Mhm.
way that I and I vision. So not just a university, but Shashamani is a space where I and I have long had a history that has a school existing. It's one of the
Yeah.
strong contributions that I and I have brought. So in my understanding, it's logical to try and build on that and to develop in that in that space or in close proximity an advancement that brings a total strengthening, and helps to create that realization that I and I expect through repatriation. I'm not saying that that is the only solution, but in a sense, you have to build the community that you are envisioning to be received by. So I see the delivery of a full-blown university with 600, 1,000, 2,000 students who understand that there is a way to engage levity as your curriculum of survival, and to have that as a skill that is going to be employable increasingly, with our green renewables. And I think we're not understanding that this includes traditional knowledge, but it's how we apply and teach and engage that traditional knowledge in a sustainable way. And by traditional, I'm talking about science and technology and all that.
Mathematics,
Yeah,
yeah,
mathematics.
mathematics,
Yeah, all of
robotics,
it.
AI,
Yeah,
all of those different
all of those
to be
things. All of those
represented.
things. Yeah. And in a real sense, the strong objective is to understand that the digital space is a big priority for us. So increasingly, that space we have to ensure is state of the art in the representation of this vision. That when people search, they find what they see is useful and want to contribute to. So yeah, that's a big part of our immediate, short to medium term.
And remember, we're just in the beginning of this direct to consumer revolution, So um, in the next, think about how far we've come since even COVID in terms of online culture. We weren't having this bag of Zoom meeting and all the time. That's now become ingrained in the culture. So 5 years from now, it's going to be even more integrated in terms of people having more trust to donate funding, to these causes. It'll be a lot easier for us to generate the resources to make some of these things that might seem far-fetched a reality. Because if there's 10 million Rastafari and everybody give $1 once a strong, what can't we fund? So it's just about how we look at allocation of capital. All right, so I want everyone to give their final sounds. Um, Sister Colleen, are you there? You can give your final sound. Um, Anything that you want the global Lion Pride family or ones passing through to know what to expect Sunday. um, and just one more time as well, how they can contribute to the movements. And nobody talked about the SOSACRU homecoming celebration, and when you come in and the parties and the Nyabingi celebration that would have happened and the fun part. But we'll talk about that on another episode. I'll make sure I'll force, because these are fun people too, Don't make them fool you, They like enjoy themselves, Don't
Or
make
do we?
they do. You see, she put on a serious thing, but they love of enjoyment too. And
We're fully rounded humans.
yes. So final sounds and what should they expect, and then how to support.
Well, I think I just reiterate that our 5 year anniversary reasoning is Sunday, December 21. We start at 2 o'clock. The schedule is for us to do 2 hours. And so we invite you to come online. We'll share the Zoom link with you, Kwasi, so that you can share it to this
Yeah,
network.
yeah.
Yeah, and essentially just come in open to listen, to share, and to see how you move to the next 5 with us.
Yes. Beautiful, short and sweet. Dr. Wolete Beresford,
Yes, sir. Yes, I. So, repatriation is the order of the day. You know, the ancient matriarchs and patriarchs told I and I of this repatriation that would take place either government to government or, you know, whether it be Black Star Line or individual. But repatriation is the order of the day. This is the IRID of the Universal Development of Rastafari. Join I and I on Sunday to learn more about the vision for this work. And I have some ones on the ground that are actually fulfilling repatriation and learn of the pioneering work of Habisha under the leadership of Bingi Sean and Mama Siobhan, and learn of the Kasi Project, the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute. Join I and I to learn about the 5 years of SOSACRU and what the next 5 years will look like. We look forward to having the eyes. Give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. Chicken Roo said true sovereignty come from military and central banking system. We're gonna talk about that. I talk about the sovereignty on this platform. And we're gonna go into some geopolitics in the new year. So stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, Chicken Roos, I would advise you. Um, yeah, man. Subscribe and stay tuned. Dr. Naya, I saved the eye for last because I know
The
that
best. You can say
not
it.
the no, not the best, but a great. I,
Yes.
I feel blessed to know these historical because I look at all of the items as historical figures.
Mm.
One of my gifts is the vision. I think very futuristic. So I live in this moment. I feel so privileged to know so many historical people are gonna study the item. They're gonna write papers about the item. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I'm a brethren them, so I feel so great to see the thing unfolding.
You
'Cause
you know, my good brother Ras Kwasi,
Mhm.
it's all reciprocated.
Yes,
As a still young man, because I don't think you reach 550, or you're probably
No,
close to it.
no, he's
It's
not there
close.
yet.
I'm close.
as a young man,
48,
Kwasi,
48, 40.
yeah, man, you're behaving like a seasoned elder that
Oh,
His
yeah.
Majesty has selected for this trot.
Yeah, he's an
And
elder.
I pray that Jah continue to bless and keep the
Oh,
eye and that strengthen the works that you do.
mm.
And just to say that, we're really at that moment that we have been at for a while, where we have to dig deeper, we have to be more than we have been. All of the things His Majesty indicated is upon us. Jamaica has been through what COVID didn't do, right? Some people feel it's ground zero that we've been returned to. Someone said pre 1830 conditions now face many Jamaicans. And in a way, Rastafari have to engage in a conversation that is realistic and capable of delivering I and I fullest vision and objectives on repatriation. It is now. We have to be at the table in Africa, in the Caribbean, in the various jurisdictions we are in to ensure that we pave the way to have our international communities resettled in places on the continent of Africa that we can help to shape those futures that are important. The fact is that Africa, it is the African continent's time right now. Youngest population, most fertile, most progressive in even new technology, rapidly growing economies, all of the resources that you see the fights all over the world trying to distract people from while they still grab Africa. The point is that we are now at that time to ensure that I mean, just recently, you know, meeting with different elders, reminds me that there are still many who would be very, very happy to contribute their even their few late years constructively in shaping that vision of, redemption that I and I know is a part of what is necessary at this time. So I give thanks for the moment and just say that we have to be present to be able to contribute and to be more in this time for our community. Because we have the resources. There's nothing we are lacking in this time to achieve the things that many of our elders gave us more than increments of. They gave us institutions we need to strengthen now. Yeah, man, give thanks.
Give thanks. Tell the people what you told I when we met in Ghana, how you felt about being in Africa.
Well, I can't remember on which occasion, but
At
I
Kazi,
know.
at Kazi, when you were saying how you feel about returning to the West.
Okay, well, okay. So particularly in Burkina Faso, I felt the most valuable I have felt as a human being. Yeah.
Nice. And you have to come and get an interview, Doctor. Now you haven't got your interview. You're a very hard man to track down. So I'm telling you on the air, and
Yeah, man, in the fullness of time. Yeah,
yeah,
man, we,
we
we,
need to
we
get that
will. We will.
Burkina Faso sip. I see you like slip on the panel then, but we need you one away to get
See.
the fullness of that. Because Dr. Naya took a chat from Ghana to Burkina Faso on public transit and just totally immerse himself in the culture, and it's a very fascinating journey. And we need to get, because a lot of people want to know what Burkina is like on the ground. That I experience it. I see that Nigeria is being prepared to attack Burkina, so we might have some instability coming. So I definitely want to have a reasoning with the eye about the eye experience and just highlighting from a Jamaican perspective the love, and just the joy that I had on that journey, But that's for another day. Sunday, December 21st, 2 to 4 p.m., SOSACRU 5-year anniversary. This is an event that is not to be missed. It's going to be massive, and it's going to be mighty. And my brother Bingi Sean will be there representing for Habesha, talking about the heaven on earth template that we have built as Habesha. The Road to Heaven on Earth series. We're working on episode 3. So we're going to be doing in-depth content around Kazi, which is also a teaching and learning institution as well as a healing institution, which Rastafari University would be similar. So there's a lot of parallels in terms of cross-pollination. So make sure you mark your calendar. You see the information, go to the SOSACRU website, support. We're going to pressure them so that they come out with some nice merchandise. We want some SOSACRU hoodie, some SOSACRU, this, that, all of them something there. Mug when we are drink with coffee at morning time, we want to see the SOSACRU logo a shine. You know what I mean? So we're going to pressure them. They're my brethren and sisters, so we can pressure them. And we're going to, next time they come forward, we'll have all of these different ways that the item can spend money. And Lion Pride, don't embarrass me, because I don't want to make up this fuss and then one person buy something and then they call me and say, you do all of that and I just one person buy it. We want 1,000 people purchase. So I'm going to keep on chanting these things, Lion Pride, because I'm not here just to do a hobby. We're changing the paradigm of Rastafari media and what media represents in terms of a society. We want an active media. We're not a passive media. We're a community, and we are going to be funding the people who come on this platform. I want every Wednesday we drop 500 grand on somebody head top. Is that too much to ask? Every Wednesday, 50,000 people come with $10. You put on your $10 and you come on a Wednesday, and you fund a different set of work in the Rastafari and Pan African community. Is that too much to ask? That you
I
put
love
up?
it. No,
Yeah,
it's
we can do it. That's what I'm saying. Is a paradigm shift. We're in an era where technology allows us to do this, and it only costs each individual $10. So we have 58,000. We're gonna try end the year with 60,000. But we can do it, family. We just need to have that stick to itiveness. Next year we're gonna try hit 1 million. You know what I mean? Because this is not a linear growth either. You know what I mean? We know that the platform will grow exponentially in due season. So if we have a 50,000 out of 1 million people contributing, that's all we need. We don't need the whole million to contribute. You know what I mean? But right now we need the 58,000. Come with $1 even. And make we drop 50,000 per everybody head top. That's also a goal. So just come active. The website is there. Find out how you can support, sponsor somebody, get involved. We're gonna have them forward to when they launch. I'm looking forward to the journal. That's gonna be massive. Rastafari journal, peer-reviewed articles, top Rastafari scholars bringing forward topics and research on all different aspects of the liberty. It's going to be a serious evolution in the chat. Ras Tafari is involved, so you know, one of our premier publishers, one of our sponsors here on the platform. We also want the item to come forward with some of the students from the summer school. So we'll schedule that as well to have them come forward, because I did some work with some of the students, and these are brilliant young people, and we want them to also get a chance to reason with the people, so the people can see touchably the work that SOSACRU is doing. They're very humble, but they're changing lives and really setting a foundation for the future. So family, I'm not going to keep them any longer. I'm long-winded, and you know that because you watch the channel. But we are here with a perfect love, and all of my brethren and sistren know that the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And this is
The lion's voice.
Give thanks,
This is what
Irene.
Give thanks,
and the time
Percy.
has come for the
Yes,
lions
sir.
and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
This is Mama Thea of Asli Pure, and when I want to hear the story from the lion and the lioness, I listen to Lion Voice with Ras Kwasi Bonsu.
Greetings, this is Ras Shiloh. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Ras Shiloh said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
Yes, Jah people, this is Michael Shemai representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Alright, listen to me now, people. The lion roar, no dog bark. See? The lion's voice with Kwasi Bansu. Time right now for the lion to tell his story. See? Listen up.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lion's voice. Now put it, I jolly for say that.
Yeah, now the time has come for the lion to tell his own story. Yeah, the one them called Celestial I represent for the mighty lion voice. And this a shook up your planet tectonic. As me sip up my roots and tectonic. And you can't make me jump nor get panic. Have the engine a run like mechanic. Room.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to Lion Voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.